Hello and welcome to EV Car Share. So today I want to do a little bit more looking at apps and things like that, because today I want to look at planning a long distance trip, planning a long route, and the various apps you can do and how they compare. As always, the channel is for recounting or showing my experience of owning an EV, my life as a EV driver, that sort of thing. It's all real life stuff. There's none of this is just made up for the sake of it. I have a trip coming up in a couple of weeks up to Inverness, going to be doing some cycling, and so this is basically showing what I might do to plan that trip ahead of time. And as part of that, then that allows me to kind of compare what was planned, what the app said would happen, compared to what really happened when I actually go and do it. So it is a real trip. It's not just some sort of airy-fairy test that you see on most of these other channels. So what I want to do is I want to look at why you probably won't want to plan it on the Kia satnav. And then I'm going to look at Google Maps, see what Google Maps says for distance and time without charging stops factored in. And then I'm going to look at a better route planner and Electroverse and Ionity and see how those different apps compare in terms of the plan. That is the plan. So I'm going to go on to my satnav first. Let me just... Actually, we'll do that live, so let's get the camera going. This one, that is. Come on, didn't want to do that. It's always a problem with this live filming. You've got to press the right buttons at the right time. So there we go. So we can see the sat-nav screen. I'm just south of Peterborough at the moment. So I'm going to start typing Inverness. You can see it's already in my history because I've checked it out already, and we can see it's now generating the route. So it knows where I am, it knows where I'm going, it's generating the route. If I take out the include charging stops first, so we can see how far it is, it's around 500 miles, just under, and click close there. So it's saying the fastest route is 483 miles and will take 7 hours 53 minutes. So this is without any charging stops at all. So we're just short of 8 hours. So pretty much 8 hours without any charging. So if I then click include charging stops, let's see what it says. To remember, 7 hours 53, or just short of 8 hours. So now it's saying the fastest is 9 hours 9 minutes. So it's adding in just over an hour's worth of charging along the way. Now, there's a couple of reasons why doing Kia satnav as your route planning is not a good idea. And I'm going to go through those now. So one of them is the quantity of total charging it thinks that I need. So on this channel I've mentioned in the past, the Kia satnav is very pessimistic, or compared to my driving at least anyway. So I know that there is no way I'd need to stop. So it's got 4 stops in here. There's no way I'd need to stop 4 times on the trip up to Inverness. I can definitely do it with 2 stops, and I think I could possibly even do it with 1 stop. So 4 stops is way overkill. Second reason is that it's going to start planning based on your current state of charge. Now my current state of charge is 87%, so it's pretty high, so it doesn't require me to immediately stop and charge. But if you were planning this route at home with, say, 30% in your battery, you're not planning on going immediately, you're planning the week before or just some time ahead of time, then it would not be very accurate, because it would require you to go and stop immediately and charge up, whereas when it actually comes to the journey, you'll be starting with 100% or a high percentage ready to go. So it'll probably have another stop that you didn't need anyway. Add to that the fact that it's always going to try to end your journey with 30% or more, or 30% is quite accurately, it tries to end it, then you may have more on arrival than you need as well. So all of these factors play together. It's giving us a way longer time at 9 hours 9 than I personally think will be required. When I arrive in Inverness, I know there are destination chargers there. I can hook up onto a 7 kilowatt charger overnight. It's not a problem. So that's why I wouldn't use the Kia satnav for planning the route. I will probably use it while I drive. That will allow the preconditioning to happen as I drive for the charge stops or charge stop if I require it. And I quite like the Kia satnav. It does a reasonable job of traffic and routing, so I might use it. I don't know, we'll have to see. But certainly I wouldn't be using it a week ahead of time or something like that to do the planning. Add on the fact that you have to be in your car to do it. You're not going to plan your route while you're sat in your car. You're probably going to plan your route while you're sat in the house on the sofa. Somebody else is watching TV on a channel you don't want to watch, some sort of soap that you're not interested in, or sport. If you're not interested in that, obviously everybody has their things they're not interested in differently. And then you can just get your phone out and do a bit of planning if it's an app. Whereas if it's the car, you've got to leave the house and go and sit in your car, which is a bit strange. So those are the reasons why I won't be using the Kia satnav for the actual planning of this trip. So with that in mind, then what will I be using? So I mentioned I will be using some sort of apps. And I mentioned that first of all, I'll look at Google Maps in order to kind of show what time it takes. So here I have Google Maps on screen. Peterborough to Inverness, that same trip. It's saying 8 hours 23 minutes. So the Kia satnav was saying less than 8 hours initially, until I added in the charging stops. Google Maps is saying it's going to take more than 8 hours, so it thinks there's more traffic along the way, or I'm not going to go as fast, or something like that. Obviously distance won't have changed. On here it's saying 478 miles, so just short of 500 miles. It's much the same sort of route. So that as a starting point is what we're looking at. We're looking at about 8 hours, aren't we? So one said slightly less than 8 hours, the other said more than 8 hours. I'm guessing most of the apps will all say around 8 hours when they don't factor in the charge stops. So having looked at Google Maps, let's switch and we will take a look at Ionity. So one thing to add at this point, I have worked out now how to get miles and pounds from Ionity. I had to do a support email to Ionity to find it. It wasn't the most obvious place. Maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just thick. But just tap on the route planner. We're going to give it our starting point. So Peterborough, we're going to give it our destination, which I've got already in there, Inverness. I'm going to say that I'm starting with 100% battery, that I am wanting only Ionity, I've got my power pass, and I'm going to plan the route. So now it'll do the planning. So here you can see it's picked up 2 stops. Now that's much more likely, I think, compared to the 4 stops that the Kia satnav was trying to tell me I'd need. So we are looking, if I pull this panel up, we are looking at 8 hours 53 minutes. So compared to the Google Maps at 8 hours 30-ish, this is about 20 minutes longer. I think this is planning that the no stopping the no stopping drive would be nearer 8 hours rather than 8 hours 30, because it's added in 38 minutes of charging time. So it's looking at just over 8 hours, something like 8 hours 15-ish for the driving, and then 38 minutes of charging. It's estimating just under £70 worth of expenditure, £69, using up 161 kilowatt hours. Now, if I scroll down, you will see it's not pulled through the pricing on the Ionity subscription, it's using the ad hoc pricing. So that £61 up there is using the full Ionity price. I think that's 71 pence. So if I have the Power Pass bringing that price down to 43 pence, then we're going to be looking at something a lot lower than that £69, probably around 40 something pounds, which is obviously much better. And then it arrives with me on 10% state of charge at the end. That looks like a reasonable route. So I will probably do the Ionity membership for this journey, because the Ionity charge points going north up to Inverness are quite well spread to the positions where I might want to charge. This route has planned me up the east coast via Newcastle. So I'm charging at Newcastle at the Metro Centre. They've expanded that from 6 to 12 units now. So I can plug in there, go and get some food at the Metro Centre, have a look around, whatever. Probably just go and get some food. As you see, it says it's only a 16-minute break, so won't need to waste any time. It'll be waiting for us to finish rather than the other way around. And then it's suggesting a top up at Edinburgh before we're finishing off the journey. Again, that seems reasonable, might do that. I could always go up to Perth instead, depending on availability or what we're feeling like. Two decent options. So that looks quite reasonable. There is also the option to go up the west coast, cut across the A66, charging at Carlisle or Gretna. So a similar sort of north-south position as to Newcastle. And then again, you wouldn't be able to choose the Edinburgh option, you'd have to then choose the Perth option to go to the final charge before the end. Question is, could I charge at Carlisle or Gretna and then make it all the way to Inverness without an additional charge? Don't know. Possible, don't know. We'll see, I guess. Maybe I'll try it. I don't know. Haven't decided yet. I do quite fancy stopping at Metro Centre, because then I can go to Five Guys. I do like Five Guys. I have a Five Guys burger for my lunch. That could be good. We'll have to see. So how is that compared to other apps? So let's go with Electroverse. So on the Ionity app, because it's Ionity only, or because it's Ionity focused, I chose Ionity only. I said, just take me to the Ionities. Here on the Electroverse app, I can also tell it to prefer Ionity if I wanted to, if I have got that pass, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to see what it says. So we're going to search for Inverness. No, we're going to go to Route Planner. We're going to go to Peterborough. We're going to Inverness. We're taking that up to 100%, and that can go down to 10%. I'm going to say Electroverse only, so only those that I can use my Electroverse account on, because the Electroverse account does give you a discount. And then I'm going to click Calculate Route, and we shall see what we get. So with it being Electroverse only, it will give me things like Ionity, Osprey, those that are in the Electroverse app. It won't give me GridServe because they're not in. It won't give me Tesla. So we have 8 hours and 3 minutes with 24 minutes of stopping. So clearly it thinks, similar to the Kia satnav, that this is going to be a much faster journey than Google Maps thought. So I guess less driving time. We're going to get to Newcastle, and then we're going to charge at Perth. And again, it is Ionity, it's pulled out. So it's got a charge at Newcastle for 15 minutes, a charge at Perth for 8 minutes, and an arrival. So it looks like Ionity are the favourite here, even for Electroverse. Let's go back and say not just Electroverse only, any sort of charge point, and see what we get. Now this, because we've taken out the Electroverse only tag, may well bring us some GridServe charge points. So we will wait a moment and see. It takes a little while to calculate the route, all of these apps do. It depends on your connection to the internet as well, because it's using internet search to do that. but hey, you just have to wait a little bit. So it has now planned in 3 stops instead of 2. So it's saying if you're going to use anything, then this is the best route. Whereas if you're going to use just those aligned with not GridServe, those aligned with Electroverse, then the other way is the fastest route. So it's brought us our time down to 8 hours doing this route instead. And it has gone the Carlisle route. So you can see it's picked out a Mer charger somewhere along the way. Where on earth is that? Somewhere near Scotch Corner by the looks of it, in Gallgate car park. Hopefully that's not too far off the route. It's only a 5-minute stop, so it doesn't really matter. Then it's going across to the Ionity charge point at Carlisle and then up to the Ionity charge point at Perth. So it's really still focusing on Ionity chargers, which is interesting. It's doing that Mer charge as a little splash and dash to make sure we get across the A66 and as far as Carlisle without running out. Now I think you can do that and get across the Carlisle without having to do that little splash, and then make it a 2-stop strategy at Carlisle and Perth, which is what I mentioned earlier. So that's fine. What else do we have? What did I mention? So Ionity, Electroverse, Google Maps. Was there another one that I asked or suggested? I don't recall. Now on the GridServe app, you don't have any route planning. On the Tesla app, you don't have any route planning. Presumably Tesla expect you to use the car rather than the app if you're route planning. I don't think I've seen route planning on the Apple Green app. There may be on the Shell Recharge app, I think I've seen route planning, but I wouldn't use Shell anyway. They're just way too expensive. So I'll just, don't worry about that. So let's have a quick look at Tesla. Okay, hello again. So doing route planning on apps without including a better route planner is obviously a criminal offence. So having forgotten it earlier, I'm now doing it, hence this is being recorded at a different time on a different day. But we can fit it in, we can splice it into the video, all is good. So on my screen here, I am just going to quickly tap record and we can get going. So you should now be able to see a better route planner. By the way, a better route planner as well as the Ionity app, they are both available as web versions on your PC or laptop or Mac, whatever you use, Linux. On the web, you can go to the website, you can use them there as well. So you don't have to do it on a phone, you do it on an iPad or whatever. So that's a good advantage of both of those apps. Not sure about the Electroverse one, maybe, who knows, we'll have to see. Well, I won't see because I'm not going to look into it. You can look into it if you're interested. So anyway, on to here. So where are we going? So we are going from Peterborough, except we're not. Let me just move that into position. Yep, and we are going to Inverness. That was the plan, if you remember, or if I remember, because you've only just seen it. Arrival destination, we don't want 0, let's go for 10%. We're going to go for the quickest on this one. So we're starting at 100%, we're arriving with 10%. We're going from Peterborough to Inverness, quickest arrival. It knows it's a Kia EV6, I've put that in already, and we're just going to click plan. So let's see what we get. So if you remember correctly, the Ionity one was quite optimistic. The Google Maps a bit more pessimistic. So 8 hours and 6 minutes. Obviously now we're doing it on a different day, so it might be a little bit different in terms of traffic, but I think the others weren't really counting for too much traffic anyway. So this also has been quite optimistic. So it's saying 7 hours, 30 minutes worth of driving, and then half an hour, just under half an hour of charging. And it's giving me 2 charges. So that's similar to the Ionity app did, and similar to the Electroverse app, but completely different to what the car said. The car said 4 charges, which, as I say, is way too many. So let's see what offers me. So it's getting me to Scotch Corner and it's going to use grid serve. So that's going to be quite expensive compared to using Ionity, especially if I've got the membership. It's then stopping at Palace Grounds and we are charging at a Fastned. Now Fastned I'm perfectly happy with. They are reliable, they give a really good charge. They're generally very nice units to work with. They've got the canopies above. So if I had no cost concerns or I had no sort of membership card, then this would be a very valid route to take. And it's leaving me at two decent positions to charge. It's split my journey into 2 hours 20, 2 hours 18 and 2 hours 49. So three kind of 20 minutes, 2.5 hours, around 2.5 hours per stint, which is pretty decent. There's 14 of 15 grid serves available at Scotch Corner. There are currently 6 of 8 Fastneds available. So they're quite high density sites as well. It's not stopping me at something where there's 1 of 1 available, which of course could become unavailable by the time you get there. So that all looks good. I'm quite happy with that. Now on a Better Route Planner, you can choose to have certain chargers as more preferred than others. So you can say never go to a particular type of charger, or you can say always try, well always, I can't say always, but you can say I really prefer, there's like a extra preferred option for Ionity or whatever you might have a pass for. Now let's see if I restart and I change to few but long stops. Let's see if it can do it with one stop. So click the plan, let's see what we get. So planning doesn't take that long, just a few seconds. No, we've still got the same. So 2 stops, still Scotch Corner and Fastned. So that really is all I wanted to check on a Better Route Planner. It's planned that route up and across the A66 and up the west side of Scotland, not the one round by Newcastle that I was thinking I might prefer. So I just wanted to show that one. Basically, we're looking at, having gone through various route planning apps, we're looking at just over 8 hours, somewhere between 8 and 8.5 hours total. 7.5 to 8 in actual driving time and half an hour of charging time. Now when I come to actually do the journey, I may end up having more time stopped than that. For me, an 8-hour journey with only half an hour of stopping is probably a bit intense. Not that I couldn't do it, but I just don't want to do it. I want to stop for some lunch. If I'm stopping for some lunch, 20 minutes or so to stop for lunch is a bit fast. So I'll probably take longer than that, and it'll probably take me longer than that to do the journey. But it's a long journey. If you say, I don't know, 10 hours or something from 8 in the morning, what's that going to be, 6 in the evening, is it? 12 hours would be 8 to 8, so yeah, 6 in the evening. So that seems quite reasonable. Probably do something like that, leave about 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, arrive at around 6, 7 or something like that in the evening. A day of journeying basically, and a couple of charges on the way, no problem. So when they say that you can't do long journeys in electric vehicles, it's a load of nonsense. So that is the Better Route Planner option, and we will move on. So let's now take a look at the Tesla app. People will always say when you do these sorts of things, if you'd done Tesla, if you'd charged by Tesla, it would be so much cheaper. And that's fair enough. I admit it usually is a cheaper option if price is your only concern. So we're going to have a look at the Tesla app. There's no route planner, but we know the route now, so we can have a look to see, are they in the right places, can we charge at them? Because up until probably this year, there were Tesla charge points you could charge any EV at, but there were a lot of Tesla charge points that were Tesla only. and a lot of the time the ones you could charge any EV at were not really on the route you want to take. So you were having to go off route, or it was a different journey completely that you would have to do if you wanted to keep to Tesla. So let's have a look anyway now, because things have changed a bit. There are a lot more available to all. So the app, I've told it what my car is. I haven't told it too much about me. I haven't put in any bank details or anything like that. But it does know what my car is, so it knows to only show those that I can charge at. So if I zoom out and move up the country to this sort of region, which is where I'll be wanting to do the charging initially, then you can see there is a charge stop just short of Newcastle. So instead of going up to Newcastle and charging Ionity, I could, let me tap on that one, Durham. So I could charge at Durham. There are 17 of 19 available at the moment, so it's quite a big charging area, 19 charge points. I've looked at this on Google Street View myself previously. I know they are V4 charge points, so you don't have the issue with the short cable not reaching round to the right side to charge the EV, which of course is a problem if they're V3 units. On here it'd be nice if the app told you if it's a V3 or V4, because that makes a difference, but it doesn't. We have a lower price in the morning when I'm likely to be arriving. It's likely to be lunchtime when I arrive for this charge on that trip. So 46 pence, not as low as the Ionity Pass. So if I have the Ionity Pass bought for this journey, then it would be better to stop at Ionity than to stop at Tesla. However, if I don't buy the Ionity Pass and buy a Tesla Pass instead, then it will be lower. So let's have a look at the pay less with membership. So you can see here the membership's slightly lower at £9 compared to £10.50, I think it is. And that charge would drop from 46 pence down to 36 pence. That would be below the 43 pence with the Ionity. If I was arriving at the peak time, then you can see the 59 only drops to 45, so that would be more expensive than the Ionity. So if I was going at a different time, then I might want to consider not having that, not going via Tesla, because it would be actually more expensive than the Ionity with the pass. Obviously, if I was doing Ionity ad hoc, then that would be more expensive again. If I go over to Carlisle area, to kind of Gretna region of where we're looking, so Todd Hills services, you can see this is more expensive. So 67 in peak and 53 in off peak. And that 53 only drops to 41, so we're much closer to the 43 now compared to the 37. So if I take this route instead and go over to the west side before charging, then the Tesla becomes less advantageous as a benefit in terms of cost. There are two there, so maybe I would make it as far as Gretna. Is that any cheaper? No, that looks like it's much the same. Yep, 41p off peak. So yeah, Todd Hills or Gretna, doesn't matter, same price. On the east side, stopping in Durham would be cheaper. So then if I look further north around sort of Perth region, there we go, there's one just near Perth. That allows me to charge before going up to Inverness. So here we have, oh okay, so this is now peak between 9 AM and 8 PM, so a much wider range of peak time. So I can't, there's no way I would be charging outside of that peak time on this trip. I would definitely have to be in the peak time because the peak time is just so wide. So 56 pence without membership. If I were to pay for the membership, what's that come down to? That comes down to 43 pence. That's the same as the Ionity. So I can get a little bit cheaper than Ionity on the West Coast route down at Carlisle, a little bit cheaper than Ionity on the East Coast route. Well, a little bit more, little bit cheaper, if that makes sense, if I charge at Durham heading up. But when I actually reach Perth, it's going to be the same price as the Ionity Pass. The pass, of course, does cost me £1.50 less. But when it comes to charging your car, £1 or £1.50 in a month is not really, on a big trip like this, that's not really a big factor. So, can I charge in Inverness? I can charge almost in Inverness on the way in and way out. What's that going to cost? Okay, this again, oh, this is an even bigger peak time. So we're 8 AM to 8 PM at the 56 pence rate. And that drops to the 43 pence rate again. So this is the same, is this Scottish pricing? Maybe, who knows? So Perth and the one near to Inverness are much the same. So that's where things stand. And that would also be more expensive than my destination charger in Inverness. I think on Charge Place Scotland, I've seen I can get 32 pence or something around there, 32, 34, I can't remember exactly. Charging while I'm there on a destination charger. So that trumps everything. That's what I'm going to use when I get there. So that's not really a concern anyway. So it looks like on Tesla, yes, I could make it just a tiny bit cheaper. But do I want to? Answer with this car, no. Because the charge point's on the opposite side. So if one of those ones at Todd Hills or Gretna happens to be version 3, then I can't plug in correctly with this car. Same goes for the one at Perth. If those are version 3, I've looked at those. I did a bit of homework on that. So those wouldn't plug in properly. I'd have to use the next bay to plug in, and that's just awkward and makes me being awkward for other people as well. Add to that the fact that because they only support up to 400 volts, this car would charge at a slower rate than it needs to or can do. So it would be down at 97 kilowatts when on the Ionity I could be up at 200 kilowatts charging, so it will take me longer. So for the small amount of money that I would save, I think I will not be doing the Tesla option. I will be doing the Ionity option instead. So it looks like Ionity is the best for this journey. That is probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy the Power Pass for that month. I have some other journeying to do later in the month, so that will allow me to get that Power Pass for all of that and get savings throughout. And I will do the journey. I will probably see if I can do it in one stop, just maybe, or see how much of a second stop I need. What I'll do is I'll probably go up and charge at Newcastle because that's where I want to be. I prefer to be there and have Metro Centre facilities rather than over in Carlisle. And then I will see how far I can get or how little extra I need to add to do that final leap all the way to Inverness. Definitely won't be any more than 2 stops, that's for sure. So that is the plan. Hopefully this planning has been of interest to you. Hopefully it's been helpful for you as well. And if you've liked the video, then give it a thumbs up. If you like what I'm doing, then subscribe. If you have other comments, then add them down below. Was there an app that I missed that I should have been using? Is there a different route that you think is better? Are there cheaper options than Ionity? To be fair, I think once you're charging down at 40 something pence, then you're less expensive than if you've done it in petrol or diesel, so all is good anyway. That's just my opinion. But thank you for watching, and I will speak to you next time.